Welcome to the Heal Your Love Wounds podcast. I am your host, Iris Sirianni, and today's episode is called The Rebound, when they move to a new relationship so quickly. And I wanted to do this episode as a follow-up to a video I created 2 years ago on why it is not a good idea to jump from one relationship to another. There are so many comments on that video expressing the hurt and betrayal people feel when their significant person moved on so quickly after the end of the relationship. If you want to listen to that video, I have posted the link below this episode. Besides the healing and coming to terms with the ending of the relationship, when someone you love and care about moves on so quickly, it feels like betrayal because you perceive their moving on to mean that you and the relationship meant nothing to them, and that's hurtful, but it's also not the truth. When a relationship that you have emotionally and intimately invested in ends, there is a healing period that needs to happen. But not everyone can or wants to work on themselves, but that doesn't mean that the relationship meant nothing to them. Having said that, the meaning one gives to their relationship will vary from person to person. Have you taken time and given thought to what the relationship actually meant to you? An emotional investment in a relationship doesn't mean that you have to be in the relationship for years either. Not surprising at all is that we can become emotionally attached quite quickly, but the longer we are in a relationship with someone, the deeper our lives become intertwined, which means the uncoupling and healing process may need more time. So let's talk about this healing period. The healing period gives you the opportunity for two things. Number one is it gives you the opportunity to accept that the relationship is over. This process is easy for some, and for others, they find it extremely difficult to accept that it's over and still hold on hope that there is an opportunity for reconciliation. The other thing the healing period does is it'll give space for forgiveness. When a relationship ends, you will feel hurt, betrayed, angry, resentment, shame, and even guilt. It would be important to forgive the other person, but it's also important to forgive yourself. And you may not think that there is anything to forgive yourself for, but there is. I've seen it many times with clients that if your relationship was formed on a sandy foundation, there is a level of self-betrayal that was present. This self-betrayal may have been in the form of not trusting your intuition and ignoring the yellow and red flags that were present early on or throughout the relationship, or putting up with things that didn't sit right with you, or gaslighting yourself and making up a story that it wasn't as bad as it seemed and that you should just be grateful that that person is in your life, or staying in the relationship when you already knew that it was not the right relationship for you. Not all relationships are built on a sandy foundation that requires constant patching. Sometimes people outgrow each other and they come to want different things from life. So both of those things, whether it's forgiveness for yourself, forgiveness for them, a healing period will provide space for both the ending of the relationship, coming to terms with it, and also forgiveness all around. So when we talk about forgiveness for yourself, it's really important not to beat yourself up for your past mistakes, but to see them as opportunities to heal and grow stronger. And if you take this time for yourself, you will come to know yourself at a much deeper level and see your true value. It's during this time that you will see the relationship for how it served you and what it taught you. And in there, you can find forgiveness for the other person and emotionally and energetically release them. Now let's talk about rebounding or jumping into a brand new relationship without taking time to emotionally and energetically let go of that person and everything that the relationship was. The late Betty White said, "The best way to get over a man is to get under a new man." Is this the best way? I don't know for sure, but for some, they see it as a way to get over their previous person. But here are a few things that I see with the rebound. It may feel good to replace a partner as soon as possible because it's a distraction from any pain, but there are a few things that happen as a result of this. If you are still emotionally attached to someone else, you cannot be 100% present to the new relationship. That's just a fact. This new person, whether they are aware of it or not, can feel the holding back, and one of two things will happen. They're either going to tolerate the ambiguity, not knowing where they stand in the relationship, but become attached anyways, which creates that sandy foundation we were talking about earlier, or they will pull back and move on. That's their part. What I see a lot of people do is mask, camouflage, organize, and compartmentalize their unresolved feelings and emotions while they start the new relationship. But just because it's locked away doesn't mean it's not there, and eventually all unhealed pain will want to percolate to the surface. And that's when we see patterns play out and repeat themselves because we have never done the work. We keep layering band-aids in the form of new relationships. The other thing that can happen is that when you have several short-term relationships, in the attempt to replace love, your confidence and self-esteem will take a hit. You either see fault and blame everyone else as being the problem, or you start believing there's something wrong with you. And of course, there's nothing wrong with you. You just haven't had time to heal, and it's not uncommon to discover that you are not only healing from your last relationship, you are also healing childhood pain. So why do people rebound? The simple truths about why people move from one relationship to another are these. Some people just don't want to be alone. I personally know a lot of people like that. Truth number 2 is they just aren't ready to deal with the junk and the trunk, and we've talked about that already. Truth number 3, they weren't emotionally attached to the person. Whether they always had one foot in and one foot out, or they started detaching long before the relationship ended, there was an emotional detachment, which of course would make it much easier to move on from. And truth number 4, some people have the ability to turn off their feelings and emotions for one person and turn to someone else to receive their love and affections without giving too much as they go through the process of tucking their feelings, emotions deep within. I want to be clear about something. Whether you rebound, whether they rebound, there is no shame or casting blame whatsoever because everyone is on their own journey, and it's through our relationships that we learn about who we are and grow from those experiences. When somebody has moved on so quickly, it is definitely hurtful. There's no doubt about that, especially when you still love them deeply. But it's also not wrong. They are doing what they need to do, and you can only be responsible for doing what you need to do yourself, your well-being, and your healing. Maybe you need to have a short-term relationship to get over the hump to see that you would rather work on yourself for a while. Whatever it is, it's all perfect. Through it all, though, it really is a process of letting go. But for a lot of people, it is really difficult to let go. And does it seem to you that knowing that your person has moved on has caused you to cling to the relationship even longer? This happens a lot, and here are a few reasons why. Number one is validation that the relationship meant as much to them as it did to you. And we already talked about this quite a bit. So we can loop this back to that feeling of betrayal and that it meant nothing. When this happens, all we can do is reflect on what it meant for us and what we learned about ourselves because of that relationship. Another reason why we can't let go is there's no closure. Sometimes there is no heartfelt, real and honest conversation about what happened and what dreams were lost. Usually these conversations come long after the relationship ends, when emotions have settled, and sometimes it never happens. And if you never find closure with them, you will find it within yourself through your own healing process. Another reason why it's so difficult to let go is the hope that there is still hope for the relationship. We can lead ourselves to believe that they are with somebody new, but we'll soon discover that the new person is not you and they will come back. And I'm not saying that this doesn't happen, but when you hang on to this hope, you stop your own healing and you stop yourself from moving on to find somebody that can love you the way you need and deserve to be loved. And a final thought about this is that sometimes people do come back together again after being apart for years. The key is to let them go and let the winds of change bring you back together, if that's what's meant to be, but don't hold yourself back from loving someone new. And point number 4 for why it's difficult to let go is that we can romanticize the relationship, remembering how good it felt during the good times. There's a reason the relationship ended, and it wasn't because of the good times. Romanticizing is actually fear of being alone, feeling lonely, and being outside your comfort zone as you learn to be on your own and figure things out. This process of figuring yourself out may not feel good, but it will absolutely make you stronger and wiser. So to sum it all up, watching them move on hurts for any and all of the reasons above. Their moving on so quickly doesn't mean you aren't worthy of love or will never find love again. They, for their own reasons, needed to, and you need something different. I hope you take your time finding yourself in healing. Place no time limit on or rush your process, because you will move through it at the exact right pace for you. And always, if you need help along the way, you can take a look at my coaching program at irissiriani.com/workwithme. And until the next episode, be brave, forgive yourself and others, live big, trust yourself, make the tough decisions even though it may break your heart. Trust that what and who leaves your life is meant to leave. Have faith that the space that's left will be filled with new experiences and opportunities that expand your heart and your life.